Wild boar are actually a native Irish breed, but hunted to extinction, they died out hundreds of years ago. But you'll find them here on Pat Mulcahy's farm in Mitchelstown in County Cork. He's reintroduced them along with some other rare breeds. Now, I've never seen or tasted wild boar before, so I'm looking forward to this one.
Pat's decision to farm wild boar was a real spur-of-the-moment one.
We were at a party over in Hungary and somebody said that they had a wild boar to sell. And of course, Muggins here thought it would be a great idea. And we bought 36 wild boar in 1993.
And this wasn't the first quick decision that Pat has made in his life. In 1985, he bought a small farm, which he's now grown to over 160 acres.
Farming was in my blood. I came from a small farm in West Limerick, and I thought if I had a bit of land, I'd be the happiest man in the world. And we bought the house on 16 acres in 1985, and we kept adding to it bit by bit as we went along.
The original plan was to have a conventional beef enterprise, but that wasn't paying the bills. So Pat took his first venture into the unknown when he invested in a small herd of deer.
It's a big leap to go from cattle to deer. What made you end up with deer?
We just thought it was a bit different, and I suppose I always like doing things a bit different anyway.
A bit different, a bit of a risk?
Oh sure, there's risk in everything. Risk every day, yeah. Challenge.
At the time, there was a shortage of venison on the European market, as the industry had been deeply affected by the fallout from the Chernobyl nuclear disaster and the contamination which followed.
Was there a market for deer in Ireland at the time?
Not at all, no. We were told like that the market would be in Germany, but then when you investigate that, you discover there's a wild market. So the farm venison then had to be marketed to restaurants and hotels really, and initially supermarkets, and we were quite successful in that bit by bit.
How long was it before you started making any money?
Oh, that's a good question. Well, it took a long time to make a few bob. We still mightn't be making money, but you're building up your herd all the time. You're investing in new machinery, investing in new methods, technology.
And then you decided you'd like to diversify a little bit.
We were farming the deer, and then the wild boar was a natural progression. And I would have a serious passion for, you know, quality meat and healthy meat. And I thought the two of them would run very well together.
You were putting an awful lot of work on yourself working with wild boar, weren't you?
I was reared with pigs as a young lad, and I didn't think that much, and they're not really that much different. It's just that when they farrow, they're a bit high, and you got to be careful. And the boars, you know, at various times, especially at the southern heat, they can be a bit aggressive. But it's no different to any other type of farming, really. You know, we'll say the dairy farmer, the beef farmer is a bull. These are just daily occupational things you must look out for and be careful about.
Pat and his wife Miriam now sell a wide range of organic wild boar and venison meats. As well as being able to buy them from the farm shop, visitors can have venison or wild boar sausage with their breakfast in the guest house, another enterprise on the Mulcahy farm.
Do you think guests like the fact that they're eating produce that literally just came from the fields behind the house?
Yes. A lot of people who stay here are what we call foodies. They're all looking for good food, good wholesome food. And I think that's what we give them. Sure, it couldn't be better than straight from the field kind of thing, more or less, to the table. Sometimes it's new to them, the venison and wild boar. They are new products to a lot of people. They're not what people eat every day, and they love sampling them.
You don't just do breakfast?
We can do an evening meal for groups from 10 upwards. We might serve charcuterie with wild boar and venison. Smoked venison is very popular. For our main course, I might do, we'll say, a paprika wild boar or a venison bourguignon, or do a roast or chops, and obviously all the trimmings with it.
I'm salivating listening to you. A lot of farmers would envy you because you're in control of your product from farm to fork, really. How important is it that you are in control?
It's vital, really. You know, it's very difficult to make a living from a farm. So you have to be, in my opinion, you have to be very active in the marketing of your own product, be it as a group or individually.
The vast bulk of Pat sales nowadays are online, with 80% of these being overseas orders. One key market is the Greater London area.
If I get a phone call now, somebody saying they want products for their dinner tomorrow night in London, they'll have it.
Amazing.
Yeah, and that's...
Will they pay a premium for it?
Yes, they will. And
how expensive is the product?
I suppose organic products that we have would be about 30% more expensive.
But people are willing to pay it.
Oh yeah, and the amount of emails that we would get in return about the quality of it and everything, which is also very gratifying. That's the most important thing to a farmer, I think. If I produce 50 cattle here and they're gone off to a factory and I don't know more about what happens, all that, but for somebody to tell you, God, I love that sausage, that's the thing that gives the farmer a buzz.
As if deer and wild boar weren't novel enough for an Irish farmer, 20 years ago Pat purchased a 110-acre vineyard through the connections he's made over the years in Hungary. In a good year, the winery produces over 400,000 bottles.
Now, Hungary wouldn't have a huge reputation here, or maybe a lot of people wouldn't be that familiar with wines from Hungary. But it's a very big wine-producing region.
Oh, it's a huge wine-producing country. There's a massive culture going back to the Roman Empire of wine production in Hungary, and just every man is so proud of his own wine. He might only produce 1,000 bottles for his own consumption, but he's so proud to receive it, his cellar, to share his wine with him, and it's a custom that I fell in love with.
Now, there's no mistaking the Irish heritage of this wine, because you have called it Chateau Mulcahy.
Yeah, and we carry our deer crest on it, which is, again, very, no pun intended, very dear to our heart. Come on.
Over the last 30 years, Pat has gone from having a farm that was struggling to a business that is diverse and vibrant. A success story worth celebrating.
That's delicious.
It is.
It's very good.
We're on our way.
I think we'll stay here for the rest of the afternoon, Pat.
Not a bad plan, is it?
That's it.